This video is the first in my series on Niccolò Machiavelli, a Florentine diplomat, philosopher, and writer who is widely considered the father of modern political philosophy. We will begin the series with biographical information on him, including how his time in history shaped his views, and conducting a high-level review of his writings and political philosophies. So, who was Niccolò Machiavelli? He was born in Florence, Italy in 1469, a child of a wealthy family with some political connections. Machiavelli received a classical education, studying the works of Plato, Aristotle, and Cicero, as well as learning Latin and perhaps Greek. During his studies of history and philosophy, he became an admirer of ancient Rome. He believed that the Romans were the greatest people in history and that their form of republic was the best model of government. Machiavelli was born into a turbulent time in Italian history, with city-states constantly at war with their neighbors and foreign powers involving themselves in the conflicts. Political alliances and fortunes quickly shifted as battles for influence, wealth and control played out. This created opportunities for ambitious young men like Niccolò. In 1498, Machiavelli was appointed to the second chancery of the Florentine Republic, placing him in charge of official government documents. He was soon given other governmental tasks, such as the secretary of the Florentine Chancellery, which included diplomacy and defense. He served in these positions for 14 years and traveled extensively throughout Europe and met with many leading political figures as part of his diplomatic duties. During this time he had the opportunity to observe the political machinations of Cesare Borgia as well as Borgia's father, Pope Alexander VI. These experiences greatly influenced Machiavelli's popular book, The Prince. He also wrote several dispatches to his superiors in Florence describing what he saw. Many of these observations survived and later made it into print in a volume of collected works. Another influence on the prince was King Louis VII of France attempting to seize control of Naples. Machiavelli describes how critical mistakes prevented the king from holding control of the region. In 1506, he took on the role of a military commander, developing the Florentine militia. This army was manned by citizens, not mercenaries as was common at the time. Machiavelli believed that an army made up of citizens would be less prone to change sides, refuse to fight or flee the battlefield when the going got tough. While he had some early successes, the shifting of political alliances caused his army's defeat and his banishment from Florence for a year. Upon his return, he was arrested and tortured by the ruling Medici clan. After not breaking under this duress, he retired to the country to write and study. During this time, he wrote several well-received plays. Only one of these plays, La Mandragola, has survived to the present day. There are several performances of this play available on YouTube and worth viewing to gain some insight into Machiavelli's talents beyond political philosophy. During his retirement, he sought to return to politics and, thanks to his connections, was able to once again become involved in diplomacy, traveling to the various Italian city-states as well as France and Germany. Machiavelli died from a stomach ailment in 1527 at age 58. The specific illness cannot be determined, but it is known from his writings and modern-day analysis of his remains that it afflicted him for some time before his death. Now that we have met the man, let's take a quick overview of his writings. I'll cover the details in these books more in depth in follow-up videos, so subscribe to catch them as they are released. Machiavelli is best known for his two political treatises, The Prince and Discourses on Livy. In The Prince, his most well-known work, Machiavelli argues that a ruler must be willing to use any means necessary, including violence and deception, to acquire and maintain power. He also argues that a ruler must be virtuous, but that virtue should be defined in terms of what is effective, not what is moral. In the book, he examines mistakes made by Cesare Borgia and Louis VII that he observed firsthand. He warned his theoretical prince to beware of making the same kind of errors. Two maxims that are often attributed to the book are, 1. The ends justify the means, and 2. It is better to be feared than loved. These ideas drew a clear distinction between political realism and political idealism. The Prince was released 5 years after Machiavelli's death and has stirred up controversy ever since. The Catholic Church even put it on its list of banned books. Some thought of it as a work of satire, given Machiavelli's support for republics over monarchies. Others have had the view that it was meant to educate those outside of politics on how politicians acquire and maintain their power. In Discourses on Livy, also published posthumously, Machiavelli examines and comments on the political history of the Roman Republic. Throughout the book, he blends in observations and comparisons with his contemporary politics to those of Rome. In this writing, he expressed his belief that the Roman Republic was the superior governmental model. In contrast to his more famous work, The Prince, which focuses on the strategies and tactics of a ruler, the Discourses delves into the broader dynamics of politics, examining the strengths and weaknesses of various forms of government, including republics, monarchies, and oligarchies. Machiavelli's analysis is rooted in the belief that understanding the past can provide valuable insights for shaping the present and future. Throughout the Discourses, he emphasizes the importance of civic virtue, the willingness of citizens to sacrifice for the common good, as a foundation for a stable and successful republic. He also examines the role of laws, institutions, and military strength in maintaining a republic's stability and defending against internal and external threats. He also warns that corruption and decline are inevitable in all republics, but they can be delayed by good leadership and wise policies. I hope that this overview has given you more insight into who Niccolò Machiavelli was and how his writings were influenced by his realist view of the world he lived in. In the next video in this series, we will be examining Machiavelli's views on the acquisition and maintenance of political power. Let me know if you have any questions about Machiavelli and his political philosophy, and I'll try to answer them, either in the comments or in this series. Thanks for watching. Please give me a like if you enjoyed this video, and please comment to let me know your thoughts on it. Also, check out our other videos about other philosophical topics.